Hello, everyone. My name is Brenda Easton. I am the founder of the Black Business Owners Network and also of Black Wall Street DC, Operation Save DC. Welcome to our 30 Days of Giving. Tonight, I'm honored to introduce a truly a leader in excellence and service to our community. Let me do that again. I'm honored to introduce a guest who truly represents excellence, leadership, and service to our community. Victor Booth is highly accomplished senior network engineer. He has over 20 years of experience supporting some of the most complex and critical infrastructure systems in government, finance, utilities, and enterprise technology, including work with NOAA, the U.S. Department of Transportation, Pepco, and major federal agencies. Beyond his impressive technical career, Victor is also a Washington, D.C. resident, community advocate, and parent who stood up for constitutional rights in the landmark federal case Booth versus Bowser, a case that challenged D.C.'s minor consent for vaccinations, their Amendment Act, and resulted in a preliminary injunction in favor of the parents. And tonight, Victor is also giving back in a very hands on way by donating his services to DC tenants as part of Black Wall Street DC, Operation Save DC's 30 Days of Giving initiative. Victor, I want to thank you for your service, your courage, and your heart for the community. And welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me today.
Yes, you're welcome. Now, you have an extensive career spanning federal agencies, utilities, finance, and enterprise IT. What first drew you into network engineering, and what has kept you passionate about it for over 20 years?
So my beginnings, I attended McKinley High School, which was a technical school here in Washington, D.C. And I went to visit my uncle one day. And in those days, in the 80s, you had to have experience and you had to have the education. So I was doing an electronic engineering program there. And he suggested that I volunteer my time at anywhere like a TV repair shop. And we had one here in Greenway Shopping Center in Southeast, a guy named Mr. Frazier. And so he suggested that I volunteer my time. And he said, eventually the guys start paying you. So we already had the skills. I had the skill set to do the soldering and the troubleshooting and all that from McKinley. And so Mr. Frazier took me on and another gentleman named Michael Barrows. And that began my career in IT back then in like 81. And Mr. Frazier started paying us, like my uncle said. And then when I applied for the first job, I started working at NIH around the time Fauci came by at NIH, working on osteoporosis and AIDS. And I had the skill set and I had the experience. So it all fit. So I got it handed to I didn't have my biological father around, but my mother's brother, Vernon Brooks, who we just lost earlier this year, was the inspiration for me getting into this field. Yep.
Okay, and my condolences.
Thank you.
You mentioned skill set and experience several times. That's extremely important to have.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am. And thanks to Mr. Frazier, I don't know what happened to him, but again, I was able to buy groceries we were on a welfare system, so I could buy groceries and I was able to come home with some food every night that we worked. So that was him giving back, right? That was a
Right.
great example of that. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Now, you worked on mission critical systems from NOAA's weather and climate supercomputing system to DOT's national infrastructure.
Yes.
What does it mean to know that your work directly impacts public safety and national operations?
Thank you. Yeah. So one of the things I see in government is that they're very vulnerable. I think a lot of people, whenever there's a critical issue like weather, we think that the government's coming to save us. And I think when you get those little kits of, that suggest that you store water, that you do all these things, now I know why, because I worked in these agencies and I see the vulnerabilities, right? When I work
Mhm.
on the private sector, they have all kinds of, redundancy, high availability. So the government is really, in my opinion, is not prepared for a lot of things that we assume they are. With the Department of Transportation was one case. We saw just it's very important that our government officials are smarter than the contractors they hire. And you really got to have contractors that give a damn about their fellow man, that will, like, take pride in making sure that that these government people that are responsible to have a lot on their shoulders, that they're given the right information at the right time, and they can make the right decision. So it was an honor to work at the Department of Transportation. When I first got there, I was just a regular network engineer. They were having a high turnover. They decided to bring me on. They didn't give me any more money, but I had to supervise like maybe 11 people. And it's like being the leader of a band. You may have a pyromaniac, you got an alcoholic, you got people that just make all kinds of excuses. So that's what the government don't see. I'm seeing these guys at the front line, so I had to manage all that. Very stressful, by the way. But so with Department of Transportation, we really had to buckle down and really support a guy named Rick. Was a brother that was working at the Department of Transportation. I'm gonna give his last name, but he know who he is. He's was a stand-up guy to me. He took a chance on us, on especially me. But I couldn't let him down, even though I was a troublemaker, because whenever I saw something that was out of order, I had to bring it to their attention. And some of these guys, there's a lot of envy and jealousy. They want to get rid of you because you're a troublemaker. And I would go to my supervisor, a guy named Ralph Moore, a really smart cat, very logical guy, very bright guy. He was my hiring manager, and he would say to me, I would say, "Hey man, do they still want to get rid of me?" He go, "No, they don't want to get rid of you. They know you run your mouth, but they see who's on those crit sets when there's critical matters that this country is facing. That I'm on
Right.
that call no matter what. And that just came from just being around smart Black men and women in my that nurtured me, from McKinley High School to when I went to Capital College out here in now it's in Beltsville. Um, so it was just the pedagogy of those people, and especially at McKinley, I had a guy named Mr. Stovall who taught me drafting, Mr. Pritchett. And Mr. Pritchett was electronic engineering. And what he mentored us into is seeing men that work for IBM. They would come in after school and teach us like how to build radios and how to troubleshoot the typewriters at the time, the electronic ones. So we got to see what professionalism meant, how to conduct yourself. And so I kind of carried that into that job with Department of Transportation, and I did a few years there, and then transitioned to NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Association, during the pandemic. And there, a lot of people were like calling out because it was easy to say they had comorbidities or some vulnerabilities to the COVID. But so I came in every day, and there was a major project to do this WCOS project, which was um, ran by GDIT, General Dynamics. And I had to assemble, it was like taking a box of puzzles and just throwing it on the ground, and you had to assemble it. And so when I finished that project, when I did that project, I saved the company from losing that account,
Oh,
because it
wow.
was it was that delayed. And that project was for the Cray computers, the supercomputer network that helped them model, do all this weather modeling at certain locations on the East Coast. IBM used to do it, but whenever you watch the meteorologists on television, those models are coming from the results of the calculations of that site.
Okay.
Yeah, so I helped build the transport based on another engineer's design, one of the government officials, and we're able to implement that. And I would get these little secret hints from like the top brass in the government. Like, it was kind of weird. Like, you would have thought that because it was pandemic, well, this shouldn't have mattered during that time, but they should have said, "Hey, we want to put this guy on a pedestal for sticking it out, putting this stuff
Mhm.
together, making our dreams possible here." But I would get these little emails like, "Hey, man, great job." So, but I got rewarded by the company I work for, which is Guidehouse. They definitely were a good organization that rewarded us with
Okay.
salary increases. But
Great.
that was a major undertaking. That was a $500 million project. I had no
Oh,
idea the value of it, but I just got in there, and as a kid, I always worked on like like not like erector sex. They didn't have Tonka toys and all that stuff. I did erector sex. I always doing stuff like that. So I just applied those skills. So it was a good thing. And then I moved to a financial institution where I'm at now, dealing with cloud services and all that kind of stuff. So, but that was fun. Mhm.
Nice.
Yeah.
Incredible, incredible work.
Yeah, and I want to say something about the cloud, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Lately, I've been seeing in DC on the buses, they say move your stuff to the cloud,
Right.
and what's going on? I think this is the stupidity of what do you call them, people? Silicon Valley, and what they've been doing in Silicon Valley, they make these decisions, I guess, to move all these people's data into a central location, like to AWS. We see Google and most of these big companies. So what that means, though, is that people are going to lose jobs when they move these their stuff into the cloud. They shut down locations like data centers, and that's what we're starting to see, this migration. And when you go back and look at the pandemic, we saw some small businesses go out of business because they said those businesses were non-essential. But the ones that weren't non-essential were essential were, um, Costco, Walmart, Target.
Mm-hmm.
You couldn't catch COVID there, but again, all these businesses, small mom and pop businesses that took a lifetime to build, were gone. And now when I went to Costco today to get a new tire on the car, and I wasn't an executive member, so I had to wait out in the cold while the executive people that paid more for membership to go in. It was like, first class and coach, right? And I was talking to a couple of cats. I was like, this is crazy. Like, we're gonna pay this same amount of money for merchandise in here, but
Right.
they have this pecking order. And I said this is all by design. It's training us to take this position that we don't matter, like we're not important. Like you got to have this hierarchy. So anyway,
Mm-hmm.
that's what I want to say about the cloud stuff. Is just moving your data in the cloud, centralized control. And to me, they can delete a company. I mean, when you put all your stuff in the cloud, it's sitting in memory. It's really harmful to the working class. And since I've joined Dr. Shiva's organization called Truth, Freedom, and Health,
Mm-hmm.
and there we get a training on systems thinking. It's a MIT class that he taught called The Science of Systems, and another one called Systems Biology. So it teaches you how to think critically. And because am in that program uh, and going through the training and understanding the root cause of problems, I can give that information now to high schools and junior high schools. And so these children can actually take that training for free and learn how to think critically and know what questions to ask. And that's what I'm learning from Dr. Hamilton. Dr. Hamilton it's like an ether thing going on. Like she's an independent. She was running for Senate in Massachusetts, and I'm supporting both campaigns. So I'm making calls at Massachusetts, and I'm 10 toes down, boots on the ground in DC, handing out flyers to help raise consciousness, to get people off their ass and say, I have to take responsibility for where I find myself on this planet, and we have a duty to that. So yeah, that's kind of what I got from Black women in my neighborhood. Just going to funerals and just hearing all the people whose shoulders I stand on. That's where I get a lot of that.
Okay.
Being accountable. So I know I got a little ahead of you, but I'm just doing that.
Nice. Okay. No, nice. Perfect. Okay, now many people know your professional work and your role in Booth versus Bowser. What motivated you to become a plaintiff in that case?
I have to give credit to my cousin Daryl Jameson, and who was he lost his job because he refused to take the jab. By the way, and his wife was
Mhm.
a ride or die woman. I'm gonna say chick, but his wife is a monster. I mean, very dedicated sister. Say, man, you ain't got to go. So they survived. And we just had a community of what we call Brothers of the DMV, and we were handing out flyers to warning people about the propaganda. Propaganda is when you only get one side of any story,
Right.
and so we were out there, and then with him, and then Darren Muhammad, who is a host of State of the City out of Baltimore. He actually talked about joining this suit that the Parental Rights Foundation did, and the Children Help Defense that was run by Booby effing Kennedy. We call him Booby effing Kennedy. Um, so I contacted them based on the link my cousin sent me, and then we fit the criteria that we had to be parents in the city, and our children had to attend public schools, and then it was me and two sisters, actually two sisters, Shanita Williams and Shamika Williams, and then a white woman named Jane. I'm not gonna mess her name. I'm gonna just say Jane. So anyway, we all met like at Arboretum, and we was like, and Jane bought all these gifts for us, and we were just like we were kind of scared to face this, this behemoth, this establishment, and the press was reaching out to us, trying to get us to say that we were anti-vaxxers, and we shied away. My oldest boy, he was getting calls from him like, we want to get a story, and he was like, Dad, what are you doing? What are you into? I was like, calm down, man, don't answer the call. And I lost my family over that. My wife and I split up over that. I've been like a year now, but there was a lot of friction, and that's what this whole thing was about with the mayor and them. Well, I'll say the city council. I think Mary Chey and them introduced this concept that there was measles out there, but at the time of the pandemic, scamdemic, transdemic, I call it. I copied that from Dan Muhammad. Is that again, it was propaganda. We saw this agenda, this Minor Consent Act, was to separate children. The government want to contract with 11-year-olds and older that they can make decisions without parental approval, and that your insurance carrier would pay for the shots or whatever they wanted to give your kid, and that the state could keep their own vaccine record that they and the child would see. They would keep the parent in the dark. Now, and when you go back now, and you think about this pandemic, I mean, this was a Trump thing. Trump called for Operation Warp Speed. He was for the lockdowns and the 6 feet apart, even though he ran on this recent campaign that he was not going to force any mandates. But these presidents, they have a relay race. They hand the baton to each other. So Biden can come in with the mandates, and black folks didn't know what mandate meant. They thought it meant the law. They didn't know that they had sincerely held religious beliefs to say, I don't want to take this. And I don't have to prove to you, I don't have to discuss whether the jab is safe or not. It's just on my sincerely held religious belief. And we saw how government colluded with the legal system to really pressure people into doing it. And so, like, again, in DC, the DC Council, they were making this thing about the measles, and then they were doing this on Zoom. So when this pandemic came out, they had already planned this in advance that we would be on Zoom, we would be on all these different virtual interfaces, and that's how the governments were able to pass these laws without the knowledge of the people. They couldn't have got away with it under normal conditions, and so I don't think Bowser signed the bill, but it went to Congress, and since they ignored it for 30 days, it became law, the Minor Consent Act. And the way I got wind of this madness was by another sister like yourself, like Rhonda Hamilton, Cynthia McKinney out of Georgia. She tweeted that these boneheads were meeting behind closed doors, moving on this damn legislation. And I printed it out, and I did the People's Best. I went around all the stores and said, "You know about this? You know about this?"
Right.
And and everybody was upset. Like, you can't sell cigarettes or alcohol to a minor. And so, I was glad that my cousin tipped me on this. I got on, and we filed a case. We lost the first round without prejudice, and then, things kind of got nasty in the household a little bit. And I asked my son one night. I said, "Man, you need to talk about how you feel." And it was my 13-year-old that won the case. He won the case. So I got his word to all you people out there that if you got children, you gotta watch, you gotta nurture them. They're like a little acorn, and you want them to grow to be a tall, mighty oak. But you got to give them the soil, the nutrients, and the guidance so that they can be that. Because we don't know what their potential is. We may never see it. I call it a phase transition. I got that from Dr. Shiva. That you see this young boy that came from us that actually did a picture that the judge said injury. He said, this is what will, this is terrible. That even though my son didn't have to take the pokey to show injury, right? That he did a drawing and he called it peer pressure because he loved to draw, right? And this picture had captions on it where it actually said, go take it, man. Because what Bowser and them did after we lost the first round, they thought they had us on the ropes because we couldn't show injury. They ran out and
Mhm.
did pop-ups at all the schools so kids could get some ear pods or whatever to go down and take their jab. So,
Wow.
right. That's how dangerous these people are, right? So I'm like, I'm going out, I'm doing my little, taking pictures for the lawyers so they have evidence and stuff like that. They argued on things like genetics, how they did Fannie Lou Hamer when she went in for appendicitis. They neutralized so she couldn't have any children. They sterilized her.
Mm. Mm-mm.
So this was legal in America, right? So, again, thanks to Cynthia McKinney, give me that information. I went hard and found out that, hey, these people are wrong. And I just had to stand up my son did this letter to the judge. He did this picture and it won the case. He did a sinister
Mm.
image on the picture. I
Wow.
think it's Exhibit 11 that actually
Mhm.
showed the evil that our officials are orchestrating behind our backs. And we won that case, and that case has been now case law. It's been used in Tennessee and won another case. But a 13-year-old beat 13 city council members.
Mm. Mm-mm.
And that's the power of our
Amazing.
children. You dig what I'm saying?
Yes,
When
I
they see
do.
the king saying, everybody saying he got new clothes on, he said, "Nah, he naked." And my son saw through all the arguments that he saw his mom and I go through and all the friction and stuff, trying to save my family from participating in something that, is was not safe and effective. In fact, recently they issued a black box warning on the jab.
Mm.
So sometimes you got to look to, Chicken Little. I'm a Chicken Little. The sky's falling. People didn't believe it. But that was a
Right.
really good victory. I was crying, I was so happy, and I got to
Mhm.
thank those women that were in the corner with me, Shamika, Shanita, and Jane. They my Charlie's Angels. I mean, we were right there
Mhm.
the whole time, and there was another case that was being seen on that too. So the judge combined the cases, but a shout out to Judge McFadden. I mean, we should be sending him a Father's Day card. He was an appointee
Mhm.
by Trump, by the way. Yeah. So,
Mm.
but really, I got to
Okay.
give shout out to also my attorney, Rolf Hazelhurst, that was given to us from Children Health Defense, who argued with in federal court, like, what's your definition of a child? And the district couldn't answer that.
Mhm. Mhm.
Are you a pharmaceutical? Are you a doctor that can administer this? And that's how you portraying yourselves. And of course, and that was in the 2022. I think it was March 18 that we got the word that we won, and it was settlement time.
Mhm.
So. But we were
Wow.
very fortunate. Yeah, very fortunate. Things
Right.
just it was. I got to thank all the people that made me, all the benevolent spirits that look over us, that got saw us through this evil. So that was good. Thank you. Yeah,
Mhm. Yeah. That was
yeah,
incredible.
yeah.
Congratulations again.
Thank you.
All right. Now, standing up to government policy can be intimidating. What gave you the courage to move forward, and what advice would you give to others who feel called to advocate for their rights?
I would say my mentor, J.C. Hood, who was the best man at my wedding. He's in his 90s now. I worked at NASA back in the day, and
Mhm.
I was challenged with, I was doing a camera, behind a camera during the astronauts' return, and this guy who was in the controls booth was telling me to try to zoom in on these astronauts, and there was a placard and like a board, a easel with writing on it, and try to bring all that into focus. And it was kind of, the camera was limited in its ability to do that. So it was just constant badgering me on that, right? And my buddy JC was on the mic. He was walking around with the mic doing a Q&A session. And after it all ended, um, everybody was kind of congratulating each other. And he came in there and was like my grandmama. He said, "I see how you white folks do." He said, y'all, when a new opportunity, next opportunity come up, y'all not going to choose him because you knew that this camera wasn't capable of what you wanted him to do. But y'all some dirty MFs. He told it, and I said, "Damn, JC, the darkest man on the set, broke it down and stood up for what was right and protected my butt." So that's where I got it from.
Mhm.
And black
Okay.
women, my mama. And so that's where it came from. I was
Mhm.
like, man, what do I got to lose? Like Dr. Shiva says, you're gonna die anyway. So what you got to lose? You dig? So
Right.
that's why I just I didn't know Dr. Sheep at the time, but I just had to do something. I just had to stop being a coffee shop revolutionary because my wife would say, "It's always the end of the earth. It's doom and gloom." I was just hate. I was want to take a pie, and go pow. She would just say, What's the solution? What's the solution? You know how y'all do with this and all that." I said, "We got your solution now, man." So yeah, we did it. So, but yeah, I think that's what I had to do. I had to do something to protect my family from these morons. And I think you have to say the right thing at the right time to the right person. You got to speak the truth. Booby effing Kennedy wasn't doing that. I mean, on the one hand, they saw him as an anti-vaxxer, but then on the flip side, when he had a party at his house, and this was while we were in this case, which was detrimental, he had a Christmas party, and his wife was carding everybody to see if they had their vaccine card. And then he comes out and say
Yeah.
he's for the vaccine. He got his kids vaccinated. But wait a minute, your children health defense. Every interview you were doing up until that time was
Mhm.
talking about the dangers of this, these jabs and all these different things, and that we should, what Shiva was pushing and what we were doing was saying, and boost your immunity, and don't shut down the business. That's what Shiva was telling President Trump. Don't shut down these businesses. Keep the economy open. Let's talk about vitamin D, vitamin E, and those solutions. And that's what, they
Mhm.
didn't want to talk about. They just all went in lockstep. And you got to watch these grifters out there, Kennedy and Malone and all these guys that are out there talking about, oh, this stuff is this and that. Nah, y'all went along with the lockdowns. Y'all went along with, and now when you look at DC, for example, Mayor Bowser was for the masking and the lockdowns. And then you've lost 90 some businesses or more in the city. And now Ray, Man, they can't get a summer job. You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
now you got to be tough on crime, and that woman Pinto, whatever her name is, she should be taken off the damn council to push these egregious draconian laws that lock people up. Wait a minute, everybody couldn't sit home comfortably and have an income and still, order food out. Black women were the demographic that was destroyed by this madness. I'm a real estate agent. I was showing these women around. So they had to take one kid, let them live with this grandparent, this one live with that grandparent, and they had to live with a boyfriend. So it destroyed black women. People who were on the verge of buying their first
Yeah.
home and all that, and they were wiped out. So, this is an indictment on Bowser, on the
Mhm.
city council, because when you look at the $1 billion budget that was whiffed away, swept away from the DC finance budget, now our politicians come back and say, I don't know if we
Mhm.
can give you a voucher, or we can give you food stamps, or we can do this. And our black women are sitting there like, who gonna fix my unit? Who gonna do this? I'm like, we got to fix your unit. We can do it. We don't need
Mhm.
government people. We need to stand up, because
Right.
every black church that I dealt with in this city, every church was built by on penny budgets by our ancestors. You can look at one on Madison and
Yeah.
Georgia Avenue, right? They were built by black hands. The
Mhm.
ones in Georgetown. And I'm like, where are these learned helpless people coming from? This learned helplessness is what Dr. Shiva calls it. So I
No.
love
Yeah, we
what
can do it.
yeah, we can do it. That's why Rhonda was like, I'm rolling up my sleeves. It's an ether that's going on. Like this is revelation to
Yes.
me, right? Like you see
Yes.
these two PhDs that are coming into the game, and like, if I don't get voted in, it's your fault. So when I'm out there pounding pavement for Rhonda Hamilton, I'm trying to get elected. You dig what I'm saying? And that's where we gotta
Mhm.
be in our mind. Like, if Shiva don't get elected to Senate in the Senate, and it's my fault. That's how I got to look at it. Because they always, I guess when Obama was running, all that, you always say a lot of black people didn't come out to vote. They always remember how they would
Mhm.
just
Yeah.
scapegoat us that we didn't
Yeah.
come out in droves. Wait a minute, it's a selection process. It's not an election process. But yeah, we got to
Mhm.
really blow the
Yes.
top off this town. Like, yeah, we got to do it. So
Yes.
we
We
need
gonna
to
do
take
it.
our country back. We got to take our country back,
Mhm.
and not be afraid of the establishment, because they're afraid of us. That's what I
Right.
learned.
Mhm. Mhm.
I kind of went off your
Okay.
question, but yeah, I'll just get on the road. I'm like, man,
That's
we
fine. No,
got to be.
no. You
Yeah, yeah,
perfect. I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay. So,
yeah.
now, in your case work related to gentrification, what were some of the
Hmm.
key issues tenants and homeowners were facing.
So there's a law a suit that we brought about, and I joined it. There was a white brother named Chris Otten, and I think he's with the Green Party here. Chris, that's a bad white boy. That's all I can say. Chris is you bad boy. I tell him
Wow.
that. So Chris organized me and maybe 15 other citizens to go against this comp plan. And it's like, I think, 2 million square feet or something that, the administration, our current leadership is um, twerking for these big companies to come in and do all this land grabbing. Like, I think Dr. Hamilton talked about $82 million that was meant for Ray Ray, Man Man, Nay Nay. It went to the development of these properties on Florida Avenue and all these big boys. And so anyway, Chris got us organized. I mean, this was like in 2020, 2021. And we had an
Okay.
attorney who was Latino woman. And then we got this beautiful sister that took it pro bono. A shout out to Renee Bowser. That's a bad mother. Ugly. Now, let me tell you, we got him at the appeals level now. And this is citizen activism at its
Wow.
best. And when I talk to like white brothers and sisters in the DC area that are like, in the ANC and all that, like, how can I join this? They all want to roll their sleeves up.
Yeah.
But it was this one little white boy that got us organized, and this boy is bad. So recently we were uh, appearing before the city council early, I think in the summer this year, the spring this year. And it was 379 people. This was over the budget that the mayor had proposed, and part of it was that stupid stadium. And so we had a plan. I mean, he had a plan that he had us come in sequence, one after the other, as we appeared before the city council. And by the time I got up there, Mendelson had taken a break, but Matt, I forget the guy's last name, Councilman Matt, when it came
Mm-hmm.
when before Mendelson parted, he said, "I'm hearing this about this idea on this budget that I agree has no place in the budget. That is to remove citizens' right to sue the zoning commission or sue different departments in the DC government when they approve permits for large properties or large construction issues, right? The mayor required that we live within 600 feet of that project and that we would have to post a $250,000 bond.
No.
So,
Wow.
right. So I ain't got $250,000 bond I can
Right.
post. And if you lose, you have to forfeit $50,000. And, you know, Chris, and this it's a lot of bad white brothers and sisters in here. That's why they don't want us to come together. They want us the schism of
That's
color and
true.
class, right? They don't want us to kind of come together, which, Dr. Hamilton is saying, hey, we got to come together. The working class got to come
Mm-hmm.
together here.
Yes.
And that's what Chris represents to me. So we got Matt and Mendelson to agree that this item that she tried to slip in the budget had no place in the budget. It needed to be litigated elsewhere because everywhere in the country you don't have to post a bond and you don't have to live within 600 feet. You can live within several blocks of a project.
Mm-hmm.
And we had that victory. So Mendelson stepped off. When I came up to speak, I just said, hey, I'm going to defer to the next witness. I like
Mm-hmm.
what he said. He was going to recommend to the city council that this has no place in the budget, and I agree. So the guy thanked me for being great, on that issue, and he said he would also push to have that removed. So that's the stuff that we have to do. I'm again, black women, y'all are the bomb.com because there was so many sisters. It was 379 witnesses, and there was so many sisters, many of who lost their vouchers because of this collusion between government, the Trump and Bowser and them, we're going to take away this money and we're going to put these people in crisis. You dig? And so many sisters were on there saying they had children that with serious diseases or issues, health problems, and they took their vouchers. So a lot of people are just languishing in properties that can't pay the landlord. And of course, Bowser comes out one day. I think she was at Freedom Plaza with all these black children around and say, "Hey, these landlords lost $500,000, and these people got to pay their rent." Well, ho, wait a minute. You pushed this pandemic, scandemic, transdemic where you shut down businesses. and you shut down the economy. And now you got people in crisis because your own police captains in all these districts, when she had a hands on deck with all them at a meeting, because I wasn't beautiful enough to come in there, but they had all these young, beautiful people, well, Brooks Brother clothes on. I didn't get invited. I didn't get in there. But anyway, one of the chiefs said, these people are in crisis. You pulled their food stamps, you pulled all these safety nets away from them, and these people are in crisis. So that nailed it for me, right? So, here we are.
Mm-hmm.
She wants to look out for the landlords that got $500,000. And I'm like, well, you ain't looking out for me. You ain't get my input, because when my tenants couldn't pay, we went to Catholic Charities, and the vetting process was thorough. I had to I had to show rent rolls. I had to show that I was working with my tenant. And I was honest about the arrears.
Mm-hmm.
That's where you can say the arrears is more than what it is, but still, even if you do, you got to pay taxes on that money. So I'm not going to take from an
Yeah.
organization that is supporting people, because let's face it, if these people are on these safety net programs, and you do that rent that save your that rental assistance piece where you can pay their back rent, that saves the landlord too.
Mm-hmm.
So no,
Yes, it
you know what I mean? It
does.
saves the landlord too. So everywhere around the country, they didn't have this program. So those landlords was taking it on the chin because you shut down the courts. So everything was these people are they schizophrenic or something. What's going on, right? But again, these programs save my butt, and I'm never going to evict my tenants. If I'm doing, I got one tenant now that's doing what do you call it, rapid rehousing. And they got that being administered through the Urban
Mm-hmm.
League now. So if, and the Urban League has sent out messages, hey, we're going to be late on the rent this month, da, da, da. But if my tenant gets cut, she's not going to be in the street. And I want the mayor and them to know that these programs pay more than somebody who works a 9 to 5. Understand me now. This Section 8 stuff can pay more money per month than the 9 to 5. So what I see is, this is the problem with this rental program, is that if they get cut from the program, or they graduate from whatever, how they move them out of that program, now the landlord has to go to a court system that was in favor of tenant rights, which it seems like now they want to move that out. So what I
Right.
would do, my solution was, if my tenant can't pay the money I get every month, I look at her tax returns and say, I think you are able to pay this.
Mhm.
So if it's a $900 or $500 a month check, then you can do that, and that way you can stay in my unit. And I would say that at different meetings
Nice.
around the city, right? I can get dates on that. Just saying that, if I had like a big multi-family, I would be so many sisters with 2 kids would be in my. They'd be like, "Can I move? You got any more vacancies?" That's what I was hearing on some of the calls with Empower DC. They'd be like,
Mhm.
"You got any more vacancies?" You're like, like you a good dude, But that's what we have to do. We have to learn, teach, and serve. And I'm nothing without these people that need the safety net, because it's a biofeedback. It keeps the community safe. NACA is one of those organizations that want neighborhood stability. The Neighborhood Corporation Council of America, where the gentleman that run that was a bank regulator. He organized people just like Chris Otten, in a way, and bought shares of stock in Bank of America or Skank of America and all these in Shitty Bank,
Mhm.
and they said, hey, give us a couple
Mhm. Yes.
$1 billion, and now we can. And we just sold a building to a woman from NACA, got a 4-unit building, and I think her rate is below 3%. And those programs
Mm.
work. It's stability. It maintains, and this
Yes.
is a
Yes.
program that that's already out here, and this is happening on the peripheral. It's not the leaders that we vote in that are doing this stuff. It's people like Hamilton that are boots on the ground, 10 toes down. These kind of
Mhm.
interviews do more for humanity than
Mhm.
any celebrity that runs up and down a basketball court. And they tell us they make all these millions of dollars. That I don't believe it. I just don't believe it, because they can't. If you making that kind of money, do something. You know, uh, you
Yeah.
know, buy some of these properties off the district, with Hamilton pointed out. They sitting on goo gobs of real estate that don't get no that's been there 12, 13 years and ain't doing nothing with it. And as a real estate agent, I work for a company called Reynolds Real Estate, black owned since 1946.
Mhm.
And when we would get calls
Mm.
that they're going to liquidate this building, they're going to downsize this project, or move all these black folks out, we had to take all these voucher holders and relocate them around the city. So they had to come to the black organizations. They didn't go to the white boys that I know of. They had to come to us because, you know, we can come in and say, hey, you squatters got to move out. That's how
Mhm.
we was,
Yeah.
So, they made us traitors. I didn't do it. I wouldn't do it. But that was something
Oh
that
wow.
the city was
Yeah.
involved in. And that's what Chris Otten has been with. I met him through Empower DC. He said that they had removed 60,000. They pushed out 60,000 black people in this city. Mendelsohn and all these men, people
Mhm.
on the council, they can't stand his ass. You hear me? There's collusion between the federal government and this entity. And when we did Zoom calls with these guys, and based on that lawsuit we got now, is that they didn't do any impact studies on the health and welfare of the environment and the people. When they do all these buildings, they don't they get away, they break their own laws.
Mhm.
And we got to hold them accountable. We got to say, you know what? One down, 13 to go. One down. Mayor Bowser's
Mhm.
bowed out. Later, see you. Happy life. I know you got a golden parachute, but the rest of these council members, we coming for y'all. Y'all got to go. That minor consent act was mean, and y'all got to pay for that. And I'm coming for you. We got to get y'all out of here. Trayon White was the only one dissenting vote, but he didn't want to meet with us. All right, whatever. But later, all they got to go.
Mhm.
Because if you're going to say one thing and do another, that's evil. You say one thing and do another, that's evil. And so that's why I love Senator McKinney, who let us know that, hey, these guys are up to no good. And so we have a duty. We have to learn, teach, and serve. And like Shiva says, citizenship is service. That's what we
Yes.
stand by. Citizenship is service. And if these politicians say they citizens
Mhm.
without service, they criminal, hypocrites.
Mhm.
Yep.
Right. So,
Yep.
what case or moment in your advocacy journey stands out as the most meaningful or transformative for you personally?
In the cases I mentioned, I think just
Yes, or
telling
any other
telling the truth
cases.
at all of them. I think you got to realize that you're going to die anyway. So what do you got to lose? As a black
Mhm.
man or a
Yeah.
man, my job is to
Mhm.
protect my woman and protect my children and protect your children, because every one of us are connected by a complex web of communication connections. When they did the 6 feet apart bull crap, that was to keep me from. And with Shiva, I'm gonna give you an example. What that did to us, it made us sicker. How? Because
Mhm.
we need to hug each other. A hug turns on a
Yes.
thousand genes and it heals you. You see a newborn in a family,
Mhm.
and that baby is getting so much love from everybody, and all the seniors and everybody in that family is being renewed and regenerated by that new life.
Yes.
And they kept us from doing that.
Yes.
And so, a lot of
Mhm.
people died not from COVID, but from loneliness, alcoholism,
Yeah.
overdosing, because you couldn't see your doctor, you
Yeah.
had a stroke. Yeah, all that was all designed to reduce our population and to get us to be germaphobes. And when you see people now with a mask on, and like a Dr. Shiva say, if you see somebody like that, they too far gone. Give them another mask. Give them another
Yes,
mask.
sir.
Because the psychology,
Mhm.
when you look at your scheduled programming on TV, and he did a real deep in-depth study on how harmful the masks are on your microbiome, and here how periodontal disease has just blown up now because of the mask. Um, People having respiratory matters and stuff like that. It's not designed for that. It's not designed for you. And I saw people wearing double masks. I was at Eastern Market shopping. This one white girl had 3 masks on. And that, I mean,
Mhm.
whatever Fauci and them say, it's like Simon says, and they do it. But I mean, we got to get people to think critically and say, you know what? I'm gonna turn this TV off. And Trump said it best, when he was president during the scamdemic, transdemic. He said, if you want COVID to go away, turn off the TV. That's what he said.
Wow.
Thank
Wow.
you, Trump.
Wow.
Yeah, I want to say
All
thank you,
right.
Trump.
Mm,
Crazy.
and now, so as a part of Black Wall Street DC and Operation Save DC and our 30 Days of Giving, I heard that you are donating some handyman services to tenants in Washington, DC. Why
Yes.
was this important for you to do?
Well, being a realtor, we're like I had a guy named Bethea who taught me real estate when at UDC back in the day. And he said,
Mm-hmm.
when you're a real estate agent, he said that you are no longer a civilian. You're a civic. You're a politician, or you're like um, you have a duty that's a lot of expectations. You can't be like the average Joe on the street. You have to serve your clients, right? So if you bought a house, I sold you a house, and maybe something was broken the next day. Some of that commission that you gave me because
Mm-hmm.
you borrowed the money to buy the house, I'm bringing my boys
Yeah.
back in there to fix your house. And the same thing with these tenants. These tenants are senior citizens whose shoulders I stand on. Uh, it's our duty to support
Mm-hmm.
them, and this is what the National Association of Realtors do. We have in our magazines. You see these kind of efforts all back before the pandemic especially. Realtors would lend a helping hand. They would buy the material, and we go in and fix up grandma's house. So that's what we do as realtors. We have a duty to do that. So I, you know, it's just my training and the association that I have, and my membership with the National Association of Realtors, GCAR, and DC Association of Realtors. That's our job, is to go in and we have to give back. And we're not, we're above that rank and file. We have to serve and protect, and we have to look after our own. So that's why when Ms. Hamilton talked about some of the challenges some of these tenants are facing, we want to relieve the anxiety. If I have the means to do it, I'm gonna do it, and that's it. If I would want that for my mama, and it's good. I'm doing it for me.
Right.
I'm not like, if I donate money to a charity, and like recently we did a donation to a campaign. If it's a transaction fee, we're gonna pay the transaction fee so you get the whole amount. Because it gotta cost you something. You gotta, it ain't taking the
Yeah.
L, it's taking the win. It's just the cost of doing business, and you gotta sacrifice a lot of times, because as I talked about a phase transition, I may not
Mm-hmm.
live to see what we're doing right now. You could think of a pot of water on the stove. You turn the gas on, and you don't see nothing. The water's just level, it's still cool to the touch. But as it warms up,
Mm-hmm.
gets warmer and warmer, you start to see this ripple. And this is Rhonda
Mm-hmm.
Hamilton's movement, right? This program is what we're trying
Yes.
to 30 days. We want to see that this thing
Mm-hmm.
takes a mind of its own. We don't, we want
Yes.
to inspire other people to do the same thing, right? So that's why I'm doing it. And I'll pay these guys to do it because they know I pay on time, you know what I'm saying? And it keeps them
Mhm.
employed. As long as
Yeah.
I got a dollar, I'm gonna give a dollar.
Yes, we appreciate you so much, and everyone
Thank you.
else who has donated to the cause. The
Thank you.
Black Wall Street DC Operation Save DC and our 30 Days of Giving, which will be over soon on December 25th, but you still have a few days if you'd like to donate. You go to Rhonda Hamilton 4DC.com. Again, Rhonda Hamilton, the number 4DC.com, and click on Black Wall Street DC. Scroll down to 30 Days of Giving. See what we're all about, our mission and our goals. There's a form there for you to fill out as well if you would like to donate product, a service, whatever you'd like to give. Just make sure you donate it right on that form, right on Black Wall Street, DC, and our 30 Days of Giving. At Rhonda Hamilton 4DC.com. Again, Rhonda Hamilton, the number 4DC.com. Now, what impact do you hope that your services that you're donating to Black Wall Street DC, Operation Save DC, and our 30 Days of Giving, what impact do you hope that it has on the families, and individuals who may really be struggling right now.
Yeah, like now I buy groceries for folks. Like we were just saying to you, we want to relieve this anxiety. We don't need a lot of government handouts. We want to show Chump and all these clowns that you know what. I think I read it in the Miseducation of the Negro, Carter G. Woodson, and he talked
Mm-hmm.
about in his day there were all these churches with goob gobs of Negroes in the church, right? And I think at the time they called it relief or something. And he was like, we generate enough revenue to give relief to our own. We don't need the government to do it in DC, right? And
Right.
so that's my
Right.
message to our people, right? We don't need those fools, right? Because I talked to a lady named Rhonda Bird, I think I can hopefully I said her name right, but she lives down in Louisiana and
Mm-hmm.
New Orleans down there. And so she goes to pick food and take it to Georgia to take petite whatever the crop is greens or whatever. She'll go get all these bushels, pick it, and take it to Georgia and feed folks. So I'm saying my message to our people is like, listen, we can volunteer at a farm, you know what I mean, and get food. We ain't got to wait to go to
Mm-hmm.
Giant and all these places. That's what Robin has demonstrated. And these are sisters, man. These sisters. If a black woman hungry, you gonna get fed. So I'm following that. You know what I mean? And that's what we got to
Yeah.
do. We gotta. We don't. We got something just like those black folks that built those churches, with food drives like a cake sale or whatever, a nickel, maybe a penny or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
some dust out their pocket, that went a long way, rolling up your sleeves, handing
Yeah.
out stuff. Yeah, that's what does it. So I think that's what, you know, I think that's, we got to serve, 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 learn, teach,
Mm-hmm.
and serve. That's what Dr. Shiva teaches us. You
Yes,
know?
absolutely, absolutely. And that's what Black Wall Street DC Operation Save DC is all about. Us coming together in community. Um, we all have businesses. We do different things: hair, nails, handyman work, whatever it is. There's a need in DC, and that's what our Black Wall Street DC is all about: pairing you directly with clients, so that
Mm-hmm.
you eliminate all the marketing and all that. And
Right.
becoming a member of Black Wall Street DC, and like I said, all the information is at the website RhondaHamilton4DC.com. Rhonda Hamilton, the number 4DC.com. Click on Black Wall Street, and you'll see all about all the perks that you get of membership. And just to mention really quickly, we do have a 50% off sale. There's a small fee, very small fee. When you see it, you're gonna be like, wow, that's all. But it's gonna be
Mm-hmm.
50% of that, throughout the end of the year. That's for the membership. You can learn about more about that there. And the 30 days of giving, like I said, if you want to give a product or a service to this incredible campaign, it's a great way, a great brand. It's great for your brand to be attached to, I should say. So that's just some of the perks. And I want to thank you for donating to the cause.
Thank
There were a
you.
lot of people who donated over the weekend. We went to the New Royal family
Oh, okay.
extravaganza, which was exciting. Dr.
Mm-hmm.
Randall was there with me as well. And we spoke and told everybody about Black Wall Street, DC. And we
Yes.
were even able to give out gift cards to the homeless there, the homeless
Wow.
residents at the shelter there. We gave away a lot of the gift cards, Chick-fil-A, Walmart, and Keith Harris, he donated a jersey. We all came together. We really did it big.
Yeah.
He donated a Commander's jersey. Keith Harris did, and one of the
Nice.
shelter residents got that official uh, Commander's jersey. And we got some books coming in, just different donations. And so all the donations you can give is going to help someone that's less fortunate than you, and
Yeah.
also the business owners in the group. So
Wonderful.
appreciate you. I just wanted
Thank
to,
you.
tell everybody, what you are testing your brand to, and the donations that you're giving that we're so appreciative of. And
Yeah.
you get marketing like this, interviews like this,
Thank you.
for your donation. So it's
Yeah.
well worth it. All
Yep.
right.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Yep. I got some more money coming that way. So I just did a little for the end of the year. So it'll be coming continuously. Yep.
Perfect. Appreciate you.
Yeah.
So now, for anyone who's watching who wants to follow your work or learn more about the cases you've been involved in, or do want to reach out to you for some of your services that you're donated to Black Wall Street DC, what's the best way for them to contact you You can share any contact information, social media,
Yeah, they
phone
can call me
numbers.
at 301-801-7947. And that's the best way to get me. They can text me or call. My email is booth, BOOTH, boothmv@gmail.com. And I'd also like to put a shout out to an organization I'm really proud to be a part of. Is VA Shiva. It's called truthfreedomhealth.com. If you come there, we have an open house every Thursday at 11 o'clock and at 8 o'clock in the evening on Thursdays. And you see people from all over the world with this, what we call a bottoms up movement. And this is what it's in the ether. That's why I'm so impressed with Rhonda. She talks like Shiva. I mean, it's a different
Mhm.
pedagogy with these people, and so there's a lot of people on around the planet. I mean, in all countries are getting beat up by the ruling class. What we call a obvious establishment and not so obvious establishment. But I encourage everybody to join the Black Wall Street, to support Rhonda Hamilton, and also get educated, raise your consciousness up, so that we be better to support Rhonda with vashiva.com, or you can go to Truth freedomandhealth.com, and you get an education, not to follow anybody, but to know what to say at the right time to the right person, to speak truth to power, to then get off your ass and roll your sleeves up and give a doggone about your fellow man, because we are all the working class. And Shiva did this beautiful piece where he shows I showed it to Rhonda. On the one hand, you got Bernie Sanders, and then the other side, they got the donkey, you got the elephant, and in the middle, Shiva did this artwork where he did the finger to the ruling class, and in that finger is made of all working class people, because the middle works. So his thing is the middle works, but these people
Mhm.
never worked a day of their life. So we can't expect them to lead us into a new utopia, anything like that. They're going to continue to over control. It's called power, profit, control. That's their motto.
Mm.
That's what this administration has been pushing. We're going to look out for the landlords, but you looking out for all these developers. We need us to say no more. We need to, and one of the things, the last thing, like Shiva talks about, this scare about
Mhm.
AI. AI is just it's just a spreadsheet. It's nothing. Like you call the Pepco and say, "Hey, I want to check my bill." You're talking to AI. That's a program that somebody wrote. If you ask that AI, "Hey, where can I get groceries?" It wouldn't know what to say.
Right.
But that software replaced a lot of workers at Pepco, all those call center
Mm.
people. So if it costs me $5 a call for a human being, now I pay 5 cents a call, and that's why they're replacing us. So if you're going to give us guaranteed income, right,
Mhm.
then you got to ask the question. And this is brilliant what Shiva came up with: who owns AI?
Mm.
Because if AI is learning everything about us, from our text messages, our movies, our music, the people own AI.
Yeah.
So it shouldn't be Palantir and all these big companies. You gonna give me a guaranteed income? You got to pay us, because AI is learning from us all the time, and that's how they did it.
Mm. Nice.
That's what you get at truthfreedomhealth.com, and you get it from Black Wall Street here, Miss Hamilton, Dr. Hamilton. And she
Yeah.
already on it. That's why everybody's
Mhm.
scared of her. She
That's
she
right.
she walking tall and carrying a big stick. That's right.
Absolutely. That's
Yes,
DC's
ma'am.
next mayor, Dr. Rhonda Hamilton. If
That's
you're in
right.
DC, make sure you vote for her. Learn more about her at rhondahamilton4dc.com. Now, Victor, thank you for sharing your story, your expertise, and your heart with us tonight. Your
Thank you.
journey, your journey reminds us that true leadership isn't just about titles or resumes. It's about standing firm in your values, serving your community, and using your skills to uplift others. We really
Yes.
appreciate you. Well, I'd love to have you back again, and also
Anytime.
become a member of the Black Wall Street DC directly. We'll tell you more about that off the air. But
Thank
thank
you.
you so much again for joining, and to everyone watching, this is Black Wall Street DC, Operation Save DC, which is all about collaborations, excellence, and community impact. Let's continue to support one another, give back where we can, and build sustainable Black wealth and stronger neighborhoods together. Thank you, everyone,
Amen.
for joining us, and we'll see you next time. It's Brenda Eason signing off.
Thank you.
Thank you.